here once again. I am Zingeza. Thank you for watching. And today I'm going to talk about the tetragrammaton, which is the four-letter name of God according to the Kabbalists, and its connection with Tantra in the Hindu tradition. So this is going to be a very short video. I just want to share this because this is just very interesting, and for all my fellow occultists and magicians out there, this will be very helpful as far as their practice is concerned. Now, when I was studying a lot of occult books, a lot of books on magic from the Western esoteric tradition, and if you're not familiar with this, with what the Western esoteric tradition is, the Western esoteric tradition is basically the Europeans' interpretation of the occult and their formalization of a foundational way in which they conduct their so-called magical practices. It usually starts with the Kabbalah. So I would come across these books and they're telling me, you know, this is the supreme magic, this is the great magic, the great arcanum, the secret of the secrets. But then I'm like, why is there these prepackaged ways in which prepackaged ways for me to go about my practice? I'm like, this is basically just another religion. And what I mean specifically is because a lot of the books, they just assume that you need to be a Kabbalist. So they say, do the lesser banishing of the pentagram, and say, Malkuth, Tiferet. I'm like, or they tell you to invoke the tetragrammaton, which is Yod, He, Vov, He, Yahweh. And I'm like, why the fuck do I want to invoke something that I know is a demiurge, something that is a lower form of energy, which is not the supreme energy, energy which is designed to maintain confinement, i.e. third dimension. So I was reading a book called The Initiation into the Hermetics, which is by Franz Bardon, a book which I do recommend to every magician out there. It was recommended to me, and it's an excellent book on cultivating magical powers through straight techniques and methodology. It requires that you dedicate yourself and be disciplined to practice the techniques, but it's definitely something that will assist you in becoming more magically potent. But in the theory section of the book, it talks about the mystery of the tetragrammaton. And I had the understanding, of course, because they explained it in various Kabbalistic texts, that Yod is the phallus or the father, He is the vagina or the yoni or the mother, and then Vo is the son, and then the final He is the daughter or the bride. But I didn't quite make the connection that the four letters were actually just the fucking elements, really. They're the elements, and that's what I learned when I was reading The Initiation into the Hermetics. So I said, wow, this demiurge and the demiurge itself is just the four elements. That's why all the systems of demiurgic control deal with the four elements. Let's take the other very known system that deals with time, because the demiurge is basically the lord over time, is the zodiac. And the zodiac has 12 signs, and each of the 12 signs are assigned to a particular element. Each of the four elements gets 3 signs each. For the fire element, it gets Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. For the earth element, it gets Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn. For the air element, it gets Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. And for the water element, it gets Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. But it's all based on the 4 elements. The word zodiac equals 4 in numerology. And also, if you look at my chart real quick, which I'm going to show you, I did the numerology of each zodiac, and the planet, and it comes down to 4. And that's very interesting because, as I just explained, 4 is how many letters comprise the tetragrammaton, which is it's an ancient name given to the 4 elements. So I realized a lot of people are just worshiping the 4 elements and not even knowing it. But that's for another thing. But I found a correspondence when I was studying the Shiva myth and Hindu Tantra and sex magic. And that correspondence was Y LYPK. Yod, which is fire. Pardon me. Let me before I get there, let me actually say which of the letters of the tetragrammaton correspond to what element they go along with, because I think I forgot to say that. So Yod is fire, He is water, Vo is air, and the final He is earth. And it's important to keep in mind that the final He, which is the daughter, which is the supposedly lower form of the mother, right, is the only one, is the foundational holder of all the previous elements. That's why she's the last. She's basically your feet. But esoterically, she's your body itself. She is the body, the sacred whore, Mary Magdalene, the hoe. So, like I said, Yod is fire, He is water, Vo is air, and the final He is earth. Now, when you corresponded with, it just hit me one day. I was studying it, and I said, wow, this is what it is. This is one of the secret correspondences, which is not written about in books. And that is that Yod is lingam, of course, right? He is yoni, but Vo is prana, and the final He is kundalini. Because, you know, of course the mother and father, which is Yod and He, is dick and pussy. But as far as the son and the daughter, what scientific principle do they correspond with? They correspond with prana, the sun, the breath of life, Jesus the breath, prana. And then the kundalini, which is the sexual creative energy, which the prana is interfacing with when you're doing the practice of pranayama. So when you're doing the breathing, those of you who meditate, and if you're a magician who I'm talking to, you should be meditating. When you meditate, you notice sometimes you will notice a sexual rush within your body. You might even have had, I wouldn't call it spontaneous, but I'll say unintended orgasmic experiences through meditating, where you feel the kundalini shoot all the way up and you start to shiver. That's because the way you're breathing is interacting with the kundalini force, which rests at the base of your spine. It rests in the earth element, which is what Muladhara, which is the root chakra, is. It corresponds with the earth. So I said, wow, this is awesome, and I just wanted to share it with my fellow chaos beings out there, because that's a very significant key in understanding how certain concepts which used to be known to us before we went to sleep have been veiled. They have been made complicated, they have been made convoluted, and they have been mystified. We need to demystify these things and have a deeper understanding of what they are in their essential form. The tetragrammaton, I'll show you in this book right here. This is the Chicken Kabbalah of Rabbi Lamed Ben Clifford by Lam Milo Duquette. It's by Lam Milo Duquette. Lam Milo Duquette is the leader of Aleister Crowley's OTO, Ordo Temple Orientis. If you don't know what the OTO is a ceremonial magic secret society. And they practice sex magic in the higher levels. They have an 11-degree system, a grading system. But it's basically a Kabbalistic sex magic order. It's supposed to be the continuation of the Knights Templars. And within their doctrine, they deal with a lot of Gnosticism, Sufism, Tantra, and basically studying cosmology through the Tree of Life. But he's the leader of that organization. And I'm going to show you the tetragrammaton real quick. All right. 4 Kabbalistic worlds. So this is the tetragrammaton. Yod, fire, phallus. He, water, yoni. Vo, air, prana. He, earth, kundalini. It's an exact correspondence, which I discovered through Gnosis. And now, if I see Yod, He, and Vo, He written in a book, and they don't explain that, now I have the occult understanding of what it really means. I don't have to feel like, damn, these niggas is just keeping secrets from, on some fuck shit, right? I'm not a part of that ignorance, because I know that ultimately these are just 4 elements. And when it comes, once you understand what the Demiurge is, you take control of the Demiurge. Because the 4 elements is that aspect of yourself which needs to be mastered before you are the true, what should I say? Conductor of the force. You know what I'm saying? Before you're really acting as a spiritual being. You understand? So it's like the 5th element is your spirit, that the Akashic principle. And many of us, we get random insights, random influxes of spiritual energy, but that's because we're trying to skip steps. Same thing with chakras. It's all the same system, same concept. A lot of people want to develop the pineal gland. A lot of people want to develop the crown chakra. A lot of people this and that. If you were to start from any chakra besides the root chakra, it'd be best to start from the heart chakra, because it's the gateway between the higher and the lower. If you started from the heart chakra and balanced that, naturally, you're still not going to get past having to balance all the other chakras. But ultimately, it's better than just having perception or just having spiritual energy. The mythology of Shiva is all about Shiva neglecting his lower 6 chakras. He only wants to dwell in the 7th chakra. That's why he detaches from society. And, well, actually, let's just say this. Yeah. I'll keep it that way, but esoterically, he fucks with Muladhara, with his root chakra, through the Kundalini energy. Because basically, Shakti, his old wife, burned herself up with Kundalini energy, and so she went to go live inside his spine. So he said, fuck the world. He's a Gnostic. Fuck the world. All he does is sit up on Mount Kailash and meditate all day, because he's fucking Shakti all day. He just wants to be in love with Shakti. But ultimately, he becomes aware of the fact that he's missing love. So he's got his 7, he's got his 1, but he don't got nothing else. He's got a 7 and a 6 rather. His spiritual energy from the 7th chakra, and then he's got his insight, his perception from the 6th chakra. But as far as communication, as far as heart, as far as Like willpower, he's not concerned with that, because he's not. Those are the aspects that are in the world, if you want to say, that had to do with corresponding with others, and he wasn't about corresponding with others. But eventually, when Parvati shows him a perfect manifestation of his wife Shakti, he falls in love with her. Now he aligns all the rest of his chakras. He becomes a regular nigga. He's still Shiva, but he's a regular nigga. And Shiva in the Hebrew language, which I'm going to show you, equals 7. Shiva equals 7. Shiva, 7. There are no coincidences. So, back to the Demiurge. The Demiurge is ego. The Demiurge is our ego. Our ego only lives within the realm of the 4 elements. The ego is about time. It's about limitation, which is what time is a system for effectuating. Time is a system to effectuate a boundary by which we can conduct our human affairs within. When you are ignorant of this truth, then you become a subject to its force. You become a subject to your own ego. A thing that only exists in a temporary creation. But once you understand, okay, so I got earth element, I got fire. Your earth is your body, and you have to take care of your body so that you can even breathe, so that you can even have passion, fire, so that you can even express emotions, water. If your body's all fucked up, typically your emotions gonna be out of whack. You're gonna be irritable. Your intellect's off. You're not rational. And that's why the earth is so important. Your body as the earth, not necessarily the earth out there. If you take care of your physical earth, your actual earth, everything else will go good, because the external is a manifestation of the internal. And that's what as above, so below really means. The as above, so below is the same thing as within, so without. So as within, so without. Whatever's going on inside will reflect what's going on outside. So whatever you program into your subconscious mind will manifest to be perpetuated naturally in your conscious mind. Whatever happens in heaven will happen on earth. It's not just some shit that's already happening. You're a magician. You have to make it happen. If you don't want to make it happen, then you are subject to a demiurge called time, destiny, called all the different deity names, which are really veils for the 4 fucking elements. But the Christ is the 5th element. And that's why Osiris, the Osiris's dick is the 14th piece. Isis found 13 pieces. Isis and Nephthys, they found the 13 pieces, but the 14th piece, which she created with alchemy, is the dick, which is the light, which is Christ. 14:5. And go figure, 14 in the Hebrew alphabet equals nun. Nun is the fish. So, and I believe it corresponds with Scorpio, and Scorpio is the number 8, and 8 is the 2 serpents intertwining. You understand? Ida and Pingala, electromagnetism, unity, balance within the body. So I just wanted to share that about the Hindu correspondence to the tetragrammaton. It's very beneficial to study the Kabbalah as an occultist. We're not talking about you need to become addicted to any particular system or fall into a belief system that this one's better than this one. But if you're an occultist and you have melanin, you should be concerned with putting together all your ancient knowledge. You should be studying Hermetic, study the Gnostic texts, study the Hindu texts. I'm starting to get more into the Norse mythology right now, and I still got some more studying to do with all of it, especially in the Greek myths, because these are archetypes of the same concept. You know, we go all around the world. There's a book by Manly P. Hall called The Secret Teachings of All Ages, and he shows that every ancient culture was dealing with the same science, just a different manifestation. So it's very important to study the Kabbalah and the Tree of Life, because the Tree of Life is basically it's just an outline of the cosmology of your soul as it just basically descended into this body. The what do they call it? The fall. The fall is demonstrated in the Tree of Life. The reality of what you are is demonstrated in the Tree of Death, which is the Kalipoff, which is accessed through Da'ath. Once again, you got the 4 elements, which are shown from Kether to Malkuth. You got 10 Sipharas on the Tree of Life. Kether, Chokmah, Bina, Chesed, Gevurah, Tifereth, Natsak, Hod, Yesod, Malkuth. They always hide the 11th Sephira, because the 11th Sephira is your spirit, your true self here on earth. It's not your true self in ultimate reality. Your true self is your soul. But as far as being spiritually active here, it's your spirit. And they call it the Ruach Ba'adath. But only real occultists, and when I say real occultists, I mean like motherfuckers who aren't trying to keep a secret, which is not a secret no more, will tell you about Da'ath. Because there's no reason for Da'ath to not be here. But they're trying to perpetuate a religious, I don't really care. But the fact of the matter is that Da'ath is the hidden Sephira, because it's the biblical tree of knowledge, which Adam and Eve took a bite from, the apple. But what it really was that they made love, because the word the word Da'ath on the Tree of Life means knowledge, and knowledge means to have sex. That's why you see in a lot of if you just go back and read Victorian era literature, and if you're like, how the fuck am I gonna read that? Go read Pascal Beverly Randolph's books. Pascal Beverly Randolph is the foremost the foremost post-slavery world teacher on sex magic. Pascal Beverly Randolph taught sex magic to the Western esoteric tradition, to the Western magic tradition. If it wasn't for Pascal Beverly Randolph, there would never have been an Aleister Crowley. And he used that language. If you wish to know your lady, they're saying no if you want to, because knowledge means to be intimate. Knowledge means that you have a deep acquaintance. And what is the highest level of acquaintance on a physical level? Sex. Especially because your sex organs are connected, and if your lips are connected, there's no aspect of you that is not united physically. You understand? And that's why you see Buddha with his consort in that position, because they're simulating and they're kissing. They're simulating absolute unity on the highest level possible physically, because in the ritual, with the energy conjured during the sex act, that is already bringing about the energetic union. So you have a as within, so without hermetic realization of unity, which is the entire goal of magic. I'm going to show you the Tree of Death real quick while we're here. There's a couple of there's many interpretations, but this one's quite interesting. This is the Tree of Death, they say. Turn the Tree of Life upside down. You got Lilith at the top, and then you got a bunch of different demons. Demon just means divine energy. It's an angelic force. It's basically the angels behind the angels. It's the angels which didn't get their prescription of morals. So, but ultimately, angels is just a blanket term. Angels is the angle of light. So all angels are demons at the same time. It all depends on how they're polarized, how they've been programmed. Because these are all programmed thought forms, thought energy. They're energies. But they don't have freedom of mind necessarily. They don't think, I think I want to go get some, I think I want some ice cream today. They just wait for the next human or to tell them what the fuck to do. But ultimately, the Demiurge is the four elements which man created, and then he forgot about them. And he forgot about them probably because he recognized that ultimately he's beyond that. So it's like if you're fucking around, you're doing an experiment, and you create something that's false, and you go back to being yourself, and then all of a sudden, that shit's taken on a life of its own. And now you have a problem. It's Frankenstein. The four elements is fucking Frankenstein. So I want to say one more thing about Da'ath and it relating to sex, because basically, this is a great book to get, by the way, the Kabbalistic Encyclopedia by David Godwin. And about Shiva and Dionysus. Shiva the Erotic Ascetic by Wendy O'Flaherty, and Shiva and Dionysus by Elaine Danilo. Great books to have concerning these concepts that I'm talking about. But relating to sexual union and its connection with the ultimate realization of self, of spirituality, and the illumination of consciousness. Da'ath, the 11th Sephira. So if the 10 Sephiras on the Tree of Life relate to the process of incarnating into a human body through the from the soul plane down through the astral plane into the physical material world. And the Tree of Life is broken down into 4 divisions. The bottom is called the material universe. The second one is called the formative world. The third is called the creative world, and the fourth is called the archetypal world. And the archetypal world is when you get to attributes. You understand? So when you get to attributes like love, wisdom, understanding, these are attributes which belong to a high level of spiritual attainment, but it's not the ultimate reality. Da'ath is not the ultimate reality either, but it is closer. It's much closer to it. This whole Tree of Life is still like a platform. So anything that's a platform is not a part of the reality. The Tree of Life is an illusion because your true self is immaterial. It doesn't have any explanation. There's no description of what we really are in our essence. So, when you think about the biblical story of Adam and Eve and Lucifer, Eve is approached by the serpent, and the serpent says, "Why don't you eat from that tree?" And Eve takes that bait, right? That's because the serpent is at once Kundalini. The serpent is basically Vo-He. You understand? It's basically the prana and the Kundalini. It's basically Lucifer, who's already a sex magician, coming to Eve and saying, "That's a demiurge, and he's not telling you the truth. You two have sex organs, and you've been separated. Now you need to come back together." Lucifer is the highest spiritual entity in that realm. And there's a very interesting book by a Sufi from the 900s who was martyred for his works, named Al-Hallaj, who actually, in the 3rd degree of the OTO's ritual, honor him. Whereas like in the Freemasons, they honor Hiram Abiff. The OTO magicians, they, so-called magicians, honor Al-Hallaj, because Al-Hallaj died for blasphemy. He was murdered. They cut his body up and then they hung him because he said in a meditative state, Ana al-Haq, which in Arabic means I am God. I am the absolute truth specifically. And if you know about Islam, Allah has 99 names, 99 attributes, which all are held by Muslims to be exclusive titles related to the one. So it's just funny because that's no different than the Godhead in the Hindu myth being Shiva, Brahma, Vishnu, etc., etc. But you know how religious people get. This is different. So, but he also said in his book that Lucifer never disobeyed God. So when God said, I need you to bow before Adam, he didn't. It was a test. Even in the context of the religious myth, it's a test. And because he wouldn't bow before anyone who was not God. What an honor that is. So if I say, it's like if a man says to his woman, I want you to suck this dude's dick. And you just gonna suck his dick? I mean, if she's truly one with you, perhaps she wouldn't feel inclined to do that. Maybe she'd disobey you because she is not inclined towards anybody but you, and vice versa. So, Lucifer, for that, got the next greatest title, which is to be on earth and guide and guard the gateway against false people, fake people, people who didn't really want to do the work of self-transformation, of alchemy, who didn't want to do that Isis work. Isis is love. So alchemy is manifest through love. And that's what makes sex magic so important. Everyone's going to have sex, but who's really holding on to a spiritual thought or spiritual intention when they engage in that practice? That's very important. Because the first mystery is the last mystery. First, what got us here is sex. What gets us out of here is sex as well. So that's what happens in the Garden of Eden. Eve is met by Kundalini energy. It says, you should go do something with Adam over there. So, to sum this up, I'm going to end this. I just wanted to talk about how the tetragrammaton, which is the Hebrew 4-letter word for God, is really just a coding of 1, the male penis, 2, the female vagina, which are one entity. The penis, we know, is a physical manifestation of the vagina. It's the same organ. It's just it's the as with it's the so without as the as within. The penis is the so without of the vagina as within. It's a hermetic entity. It's one. And then the way they express each other is through the prana and the kundalini. You know what I'm saying? And the light can also be looked at as the sperm, and the light, i.e. prana, could also be looked at as far as like the sexual aspect. But it's like the prana is the life force energy. Okay, it's everything that and it's different from your like day-to-day air, but that's for another talk. But as far as the practice, utilizing this concept in the practice, it's very effective once you have that understanding that those are the 4 aspects. Even like when you're dealing with magic, as far as mentality, the phallus is basically your conscious mind. Because and the vagina or the yoni is your subconscious mind. All right. The sun, which is the vo, which is the spirit, is your spirit. That spiritual ka the bird's eye view aspect of yourself that is already in alignment with your soul, really. It's not your soul, it's the ambassador of your soul. Your spirit is the ambassador of your soul. So it's already guiding the energy towards the subconscious mind, but it brings that kundalini with it because they come together. It's like a fireball. They come together, and that's how you really make the impact in the subconscious mind, which as like Brother Panic, great magician and teacher, teaches, and everyone who studies programming understands that unless it makes its impact in the subconscious mind, it's not going to have any lasting effect. Okay, so that's the whole science. Tetragrammaton is a coding for Tantra, for the elements involved in Tantra, for the principles involved in Tantra. And once you unite all those, that's when you get the enlightenment stage. You get the, what's that shit called? The Merkaba. You know, when you're unified all around, all right? So that's it for today. I want to thank you for listening to this talk, and I'll have more to come in the future. Peace.